I think it's on YouTube, Ed. Yep, YouTube just came up, so we might have to ditch Facebook. I don't. Yeah, and I don't know if it was a button along the way or the connection. So I ain't too worried.
Oh, that sun is hot.
I grabbed the water for Secretary LaRose.
Thank you so much. Eric, you said.
Right here, this one's colder. I'm going to feel that.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Eric, you want here promptly at 12, right? Like in a minute.
Yeah.
He's going to be right here.
Yeah, he's gonna be on the corner there. Yep.
All right, I'm going to put this right here for Frank.
Hey Ed, I posted something on Facebook saying go to YouTube, so we'll see.
All right.
Hey Ella, can Ella hear us? Hey Ella, you there?
Are you showing a live picture on YouTube?
Well, yeah.
I must be doing something wrong here.
I mean, it's supposed to be. Testing. Come on, JC.
Test.
You got it, Ed?
No. Yeah, there we are.
Awesome. Hey, Ella, what's the last commercial? Oh, I got you. Columbus Mobility. Got it. Hey, Mr. LaRose. Columbus Mobility is the last commercial, guys. You good, Eddie?
Yeah, I'm sending a good afternoon out right now.
Awesome.
Did you see it?
No, I'm not on my phone now.
I'm going to offer my Frank LaRose.
Oh, that's cool.
He gave me that, some time ago.
We're in how much of a delay? Because I just heard him call LaRose.
Running about 45 seconds on YouTube.
Okay.
Oh, it's news.
All right, I think we're good. Now all I got to do is talk.
All right, you guys ready to get rolling in a second?
Oh. Yeah, it's not very loud.
Ed, how about that?
That's better.
I think you're number 2 there.
Hello, Frank.
Hey there.
2 different
How are you,
people.
sir?
Dave Yost at 12:33 and Vikek at 12:45.
Does Mr. LaRose have a seat?
No, unless he needs one.
Don't forget the boat, Frank.
What's that? You still got it.
Of course, I carry it with me.
Is that all right, Larry?
Carry it with me. Yeah.
Usually Ella just says it in our ear.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I've seen a lot of them. Yours is great.
Well, you can open a bottle.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I have.
I didn't say hi yet.
Yep, I can hear you. Yep. Yeah, talk up a little bit. Yeah, I can hear you now. Larry, she says she can't hear me.
She can't. Ella, you can't hear me?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Hey, Larry, when I do the opening monologue, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's that delay.
Got it. Yes, I did. Yep. Just whisper in our ear to remind us, but I think we're good. Yep. Hey, Larry, can you turn off all their microphones?
Look like we're doing about half
Hey, Larry, can you turn off their mics when I do the opening monologue so there's no background?
Question for you. Maybe you can hear me through here, but is it true that I thought I heard on Fox that Ohio already had about 3,500 illegal aliens that registered to vote? Is that not true?
Not all illegal aliens. Many of them.
So, Larry, the way we do the openings, I'll do it before she hits our on target, and then she knows the last line, then she'll lead right into it.
This year. So over the last few years, 3,500 is probably a reasonable guess, but 600 this
I
year.
heard that on Fox. That's why I was kind of shocked.
Yes, I can hear you.
Interviews on Fox, so they may have been talking about it. Yeah. Good news is, out of 8 million registered voters, we're talking about several hundred, but we find them and we refer them for prosecution.
Yep.
I'm surprised. I know they said one of the states had about 6,500 already, and but
But according to the Democrats, there's no such thing as non-citizens
That's fine.
registering to vote.
Perfect. Yep. Good to go.
Yeah, if you can put in the
Correct.
you can put in the chat what your out times need to be. I'll keep them on track here too. $57. At 57. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Got it. 12:30. Cool. Or not at all.
You gonna do the weather?
Not today. Yeah, I know.
It's hot.
Is your opening before you hit their air?
No, it's on their air before the on target thing.
You want a seat? You want a chair?
Good. Thanks. Actually, I will take that one of those waters. Thank you.
Whoa! Hey, Eric.
The clock that's on your screen is to your 12:30 break.
Okay.
Hey, Eric, are you on YouTube or no? Are you on YouTube?
One minute. Gotcha.
What a great reuse of an old toolbox.
I know.
It was
Here we
a
go.
brand new toolbox when I broke it.
What?
Literally, we got this, took it off the shipping pallet, and started cutting holes in it.
There you go. Perfect.
30 seconds. Copy.
No. Good. Thanks.
Here we go.
And some noise. Oh, and if I talk to any of you, I'm not on the air. I'm only talking to you.
Today, I'm not going to bore you with a long chronology of some thug's life. But let's just assume that Jaden Forte, I think that's how you say it. I can never figure out when they put the apostrophe right in the middle of the name. But anyways, I assume that Jason Forte Robinson was a felon. Well, actually, he was a felon by the time he turned 18 years old. I don't know it for a fact, but I assume that his life of crime did not just start at 18, but probably had been building for some time prior to that point. But rest assured, he had no business being in possession of a firearm and was actually legally prohibited from owning one. On June 17th, 2022, Mr. Robinson did what most criminal thugs do. He blatantly disregarded the law and decided to commit a felony of the third degree by carrying a firearm while out in public. When police arrived, not only did Mr. Robinson at age 19 Heck, he couldn't even purchase, let alone possess one at that point. Mr. Robinson not only had a firearm on him, but he had enough narcotics as well to warrant being charged with felony trafficking in drugs. Are you starting to get a character profile of this delinquent? And oh, did I mention, how could I forget this? Not only was he a felon carrying a gun and possessing drugs, obviously someone with no respect for the law, he also had the notorious switch on his firearm. You know, the one that converts a handgun into a fully automatic firearm so you can fire indiscriminately into crowds to make sure you hit something. A switch, I remind you, that if it was found in my possession, is a mandatory many-year federal jail sentence. Federal jail. On that day, in June of 2022, Mr. Robinson was, let's say, temporarily removed from the streets and given a nice suite at the Gray Bar Hotel. Don't worry, though. It was Franklin County, and his stay was short. Out a few days later after raising a reported enormous bond. A bond that was around $1,000. Now, due to inefficiencies of the system, it would be just under a year before Mr. Robinson would be back in court. Another year of freedom for this dangerous felon. Another year on the streets of Columbus. And on that first appearance in May of 2023, the first court appearance for these felonies in May of 2023, it looked like the judge gave Mr. Robinson a few conditions of his bond going forward. He had to take a periodic drug test and, of course, not be around firearms. You can read it right there in the court documents online. No firearms for Jaden. August came around, now over a year from the date of the crime, and on the 4th of August that month, Judge Avini granted a continuance of the case. Before you knew it, it was now September 13th, the new date, and just when you thought Mr. Robinson's day in court was upon us, the defense, they weren't available. Judge Avini, case continued. Surely on October 23rd, 2023, when that date arrived, we would see Mr. Robinson finally face his allegations in court. But yet again, it just seemed to be too inconvenient for everyone. Judge Avini, case continued. Winter arrived, and apparently the defense was busy at the holiday parties because on December 19th, well, you guessed it, the case was continued. Mr. Robinson would be spending the holidays with his posse after all. At the next scheduled court date on January 19th, 2024, some year and a half after this thug committed these crimes, yep, case continued. Judge Avini. In March of this year, 2024, the defense had a conflict when the case came up again. Avini responded, case continued. On April 1st, and then again on May 1st, and then who could forget June 12th, 2024, and then there was July 23rd, 2024, and August 16th, 2024. All dates, this Democratic Judge Avini continued to allow this thug to have continuancies on his case. But something did change in the court proceedings on September 12th. It was actually just a few days ago. The case now has a note entered into the record. Check it out for yourself on the website. It reads, please cancel September 19th court appearance because, the thug is dead. I think they used his name, but what the hell. Jaden Fortney Robinson is dead because on Tuesday of this week, this piece of crap thug punk destined for a warm eternity shot. Wait, he had a gun? Damn, I thought that was illegal. He shot and killed. He murdered the mother of his baby, and then he shot and killed the innocent infant child. Another stat to the poor black children to further separate them from their white counterparts. Black children who over the last 2 decades are now more likely to be killed by a gun than a car. The coward finished where he actually should have begun, by killing himself. And these liberals, the audacity of these Democratic idiots, Harris, Biden, Ginther, and many, many more, they want to come take my guns? In this city, in this state, in this country, if you are a legal gun owner and you don't vote in November, you're a fool. The liberal way of thinking failed this young mother and infant, and you are a fool if you think it will protect you. Be prepared to protect yourself and your family. And for the sake of this country and this city, get out and vote these people out of office and demand local media hold them accountable.
Camera. It's just got him.
I can't do nothing. Good afternoon. Welcome to OnTarget. We're broadcasting live from the studios of, no, we're not. We are on location for the first time. JC, we're on location for the first time in 10 years.
10 years ago. I was reminiscing this morning.
There you go. We're at the Patriot Rally that's going to be taking place here in a couple hours at Scheider Transport out here in Plain City. What a beautiful day. Absolutely gorgeous day.
It's gorgeous. I just wish there was a little cloud about right there where Mr. Sunshine is burning a hole in my starting to be hairless head.
There you go, JC. I'll hold a paper over it for you.
Thanks.
Let's get started, guys. We are the owners of LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility and are active in law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you the facts about our industry and help listeners and customers with safe, responsible ownership of firearms. Today we welcome right here with us in this live remote studio our very own Secretary of State Frank LaRose.
Well, hey, Eric. It's 52 days till Election Day.
Yes.
We're staying busy. We're looking forward to the Patriot Rally. I'll tell you what, heartbreaking, that story that you talked about at the top. That man should not have been on the street, let alone possessing a firearm, and now there are people dead as a result of it. There need to be consequences.
11 times this judge continued it over a 2-year period. I mean, where is the responsibility of these judges? Where's the media?
Yeah,
And
the fact that he has one that was modified for fully automatic too. I mean, again, any one of us. Now, I get to use those when I'm in uniform. I get to be Sergeant LaRose on the weekends every now and then. But in our personal possession, absolutely not.
Absolutely, and to make one like that?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. So, guys, at 12:30 today, we're going to be joined via phone via our good friend, Attorney General Dave Yost. He's calling in to talk about an amicus he just did called Ocean State Tactical versus Rhode Island. Talk about a fighter of your Second Amendment rights. We're going to hear more about that and some of the other things that he is doing. Then at 12:25, for the first time on the show, actually, Vikek Ramaswamy is calling in for the first time before he goes on stage here.
Yes.
I mean,
right.
that's pretty big.
Wow.
We need to get him in the range.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. I'll come and shoot with him.
I know. Seriously,
See?
we should.
Yeah.
We should. He's been there before. And let's see what else. And of course, I'm sure somewhere along the way here, JC, you got a little bit of news to
we
put
have a
in
little
there.
bit of news, right?
Yes, and then of course on my other side, Ed, I can see over there. I see your head.
Yes,
Big
I'm
Ed
here.
is here with us.
We have a little bit of camera issues, folks, so you're going to have to bear with us.
Yeah, but well,
Can you zoom that out at all?
I will try it on a break.
All right.
Of course. And then let's say we got to thank our sponsors, guys. They're the ones who make this possible.
Absolutely.
U.S. Law Shield, Jackson Egress Windows, Blackwing Shooting Center, River's Edge Cutlery, CNS Engraving, and of course LEPD Training Facility, all who make the show possible. JC, what are your thoughts? Look at this view. I mean, we've got all this field in front of us.
And hats off to Larry here. We 10 years ago, this was not the setup we were using. So this is fantastic.
Yeah,
so.
well, and we have to thank Boots too, because he loaned this setup to us.
Well, that is great.
Yes,
yeah, thank you,
the Auto Smarts guides and stuff. Big Ed, I see you over there.
What's
Good
going
to
on?
see you. Good to see you.
It's a little warm out here today.
It is a little warm, but it feels so good, though. In a couple months, though, we'll be wishing it was this warm. Guys, if you missed the show, you can always catch the podcast. That's at 610WTVN.com. We're on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Podcasts, really anywhere you get podcasts, we're out there. The show, typically on Facebook and YouTube. Not sure about today. If it's not out there live right now, we will certainly upload it later at a later point. Guys, I want to get right to the Secretary of State. You know, there's, I don't know. I'm so appreciative that you've had time to step away. I can only imagine the controlled chaos you're observing right now.
Yeah, it's a busy time of year, and there are folks actively trying to roll marbles under our feet, these leftist activists that sue us to try to change the election laws and that kind of thing, but we're not going to be dissuaded. We've got a very simple mantra. We make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. That means we're going to check IDs, we're going to take dead people off the voter rolls, we're going to make sure only citizens are registered to vote, and we're going to run an honest election, and you're going to go to bed on election night knowing the results in Ohio and trusting that they were honest.
Absolutely.
And that's
awesome.
That's all. I mean, it seems so simple. I mean,
Yeah.
I know there's so much that goes on in the back. And you touched about. I mean, it's a big topic right now. The illegals, or those
Yep.
not supposed to be voting.
Yep.
Do you? I mean, there's all kinds of. You hear some people from the left saying, "Oh, it's really not an issue," but then you go and look at some of these states who it's on record that they did. I mean, is it a legitimate issue in a state like Ohio?
Yeah, so let's start with that it's not an issue thing, right? I was testifying in Congress this week on this issue. We were trying to get them to pass the SAVE Act again. It was passed once, but unfortunately, Sherrod Brown has it stalled in the U.S. Senate instead of passing it, right? So the SAVE Act makes it... It really requires front-end citizenship verification. Now, during this testimony, we had people saying, well, it's so rare. Why would you even talk about this? Voter fraud in non-citizens registering to vote never happens. Well, of course it does happen. We have referred 600 individuals to prosecutors this year in Ohio and removed them from the voter rolls. 600 out of 8 million registered voters is a small number. But this brain-dead argument that it's rare so you shouldn't enforce it, right? I pointed out in committee last week that that's like saying airplane hijackings are rare. Yes, they are. Thank God. That doesn't mean we get rid of the TSA. You have to be ready to enforce the law, and that's exactly what we're doing. So we take them off the voter rolls. We use the tools at our disposal. Now, here's what we don't have. We don't have access to all the federal data we should. I have been asking the U.S. Department of Homeland Security now for better part of a year to give me access to these 3 databases that they won't let me use, although they should. They're required by law to do it. I'm actually considering working with our Attorney General and filing a lawsuit against Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, because they owe us access to those so that we can have a more complete check to make sure that only U.S. citizens are registered to vote.
Do you think? I mean, is it the ones that you catch? Are they, legitimately trying to get beyond the law, or are they ones that just don't know? I mean, do you have a feel of what that is?
It's a mixed bag. There are some that are legitimately trying to defraud the system. They know they shouldn't be doing it, and they're trying to cast a vote. There are others that just have limited English proficiency, and somebody hands them a form, and so they fill it out, and they don't even know what they're doing. There are some that don't realize it's against the law. In fact, I've had heartbreaking stories where people say, I'm just a few months away from earning my citizenship, and so there's nothing more patriotic and American than being a registered voter, so I'm going to go ahead and get registered to vote now. Well, no, stop. You can't do that until you take that oath and raise your right hand and pledge your allegiance to the United States of America. So we work with them. We actually give them a chance to remove themselves. I sent them all a letter, says, hey, you got 30 days. We think you're a non-citizen. We think you're registered to vote. If you are, we know you're registered to vote. We think you're a non-citizen. Go ahead and withdraw your registration. If they don't do that, then yes, we refer them for prosecution.
I mean, do you feel like other states are as diligent as Ohio?
No, they're not. And it's because it's hard. I mean, some states are, right? But it's a lot of work. It's data entry, manual data entry into this federal database, the one that we do have access to. It's working with your state BMV to get numbers that you need. Like there's this thing called the alien registration number that you need to get from the BMV in order to check those records. And so it does take a lot of work. And we've got some particularly Democratic secretaries of state that just say, nah, not a problem, not an issue. I'm not going to focus on that. And that, that's why elections have consequences, and you should elect a conservative Secretary of State if you want to make sure you've got honest elections.
Hey, Frank, one question I've always asked people, I said, why do you want citizens of other countries to elect our officials? Citizens who have never even been here, and you want citizens of Nicaragua, wherever, Somalia, you want them to elect your representatives? They never give me a correct answer on that.
No other country would permit such a thing. And thankfully in Ohio, we actually amended the state constitution to make it abundantly clear that American elections are only for American citizens. But it goes beyond just voting. Of course, we're going to keep non-citizens from voting in Ohio, but there are non-citizens trying to fund political campaigns in Ohio. In fact, this Issue 1 campaign that's on the ballot this November is being funded in large part by a Swiss billionaire. A guy from Switzerland put $6 million. Now, we're trying to stop him, but I've got a federal judge that is preventing me from doing that right now. We're appealing that and trying to make sure that imagine this guy's from Switzerland. It's bad enough that he's trying to get liberal policy done in Ohio, but imagine if it was a billionaire from Iran or Russia or China. I mean, this is something that really does impact national security, and that's why we take it so seriously.
Absolutely.
That's so simple that what you're saying should be stopped. Why is it so hard, and why are these judges getting in the way?
Well, it's a couple things. There are technicalities in this. When the state legislature passed the law banning foreign nationals from contributing to political campaigns, they included a ban on lawful permanent residents, so-called green card holders, and that's what the judge is using to block the entire bill from going into effect. Again, that's a decision that the legislature made. But there are some that just say it with a straight face. I mean, some of the Democrats on the House floor, when that was being voted on, they said, we're not gonna support taking non-citizens out of this process because they like the money they're getting from these non-citizens that are largely supporting liberal causes, and they need to answer for that. Those liberal members of the state House and state Senate that literally voted to allow foreign nationals, foreign billionaires to fund political campaigns in Ohio. They need to face the consequences of voting like that.
Well, talk for a second. We're talking to Secretary of State Frank LaRose. You know, it was certainly interesting with RFK Jr. Dropping out and stuff. Tell us a little bit about what that process looked like in Ohio now concerning him on the ballot and so forth.
Yeah, so there's a very clearly laid out legal process for this that includes timelines, deadlines, and that kind of thing. RFK met the timeline. He sent us a letter that said, I hereby ask to have my name removed from the ballot, and so we honored that because he met the timeline. There are other candidates, that deadline has now passed, that, for example, Jill Stein, this Green Party candidate, her vice presidential candidate wants to remove their name, and we're past the deadline. So we follow the law, and that's exactly what we'll do.
All right. JC, I know you probably got some news there. We should probably throw in anything exciting going on.
There's unfortunately a lot of exciting things. I can hardly wait for our Attorney General to come and talk about his big news. But just to let you know where we're still going with this, regardless of what's happening out there, people are still following their Second Amendment rights. So in August of 24, we once again sold more than 1 million guns in a month, which this is the 61st month in a row where more than 1 million new firearms have been sold. They kind of filter out used firearms that are back and recirculating. These are new ones. And that's 8.3% higher than it was in August of 23. So 63, so over 5 years in a row, people are out there exercising their Second Amendment rights. So we always track this once a month, and it's a great streak, and we hope to continue. And we're talking about voting. This is what it's all about. And honestly, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, I was kind of staggered by this. They said it's not an exaggeration to say that, number one, this is the most critical election as a gun owner that you will ever face, probably for the country also. I just can't even imagine a commander-in-chief who giggles about school buses. But anyway, there are approximately, get this figure, approximately 10 million hunters who are unregistered to vote.
Yeah.
10 million hunters? They may think, hey, I've got my 12 gauge over here, that's fine. Well, hey, all this stuff can disappear in an instant. Just ask all the countries around the world that have had that happen.
Here's how we get them here's how we get them registered to vote. Go to voteohio.gov. Take out your state ID, take out your state driver's license. It's going to take you 3 minutes, and if you've got a friend who's a fellow American who believes in the Second Amendment, tell them to go and get registered to vote. You've got to do it before the 7th of October. So just a couple weeks is when the deadline comes up. Get your friends registered to vote.
Get them registered. That's absolutely.
It's just it's amazing to me how many.
U.S.
Well, and let me debunk something, right? Every now and then I run into somebody who says, I don't want to register to vote because I'm going to get called to jury duty. Not true. They can actually pull those jury pools from driver's license records, from all kinds of different government databases, and so that's not a good reason to skip registering to vote.
I don't mind jury duty.
It's not that bad.
I've been registered since '67. I keep hoping they'll call me, but they never seem to. They may have lost my number. All right.
You got one more thing there, JC?
No, this is kind of an involved one, so maybe I should just save this one for a little bit. But there is an analysis. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals just last Friday issued a split decision on the constitutionality. The Ninth Circuit Court, the 3-panel court, wasn't a full panel, but they unanimously approved a ruling that severely limits your ability to carry on public property, period. And they went back and found 2 instances of laws, not for the whole state, but for laws that were in areas of the state that called for no one was allowed on this plantation unless you had written permission if you had a firearm. So they used that one from 1865. Civil War, but in 1771, in New Jersey, another local area had you needed to have a consent or license in order to carry a gun on their property. They used those two small instances to now tell California and Hawaii, well, Ninth Circuit, California, Hawaii, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, Idaho. It's 1/3 of the people in the United States live there, and they said that no, from now on, it's not. Hey, they're not the say note and enter these places with a firearm. It's just you can't enter or carry unless they say yes, you are welcome. They call this. And I had to look this up because they call this the vampire rule. And I went, the vampire rule? Well, I haven't been watching Twilight ever, but apparently a vampire is not allowed to enter your premises unless you invite the vampire in. And apparently that's one of the premises of being a vampire.
Do you guys sell silver bullets?
So
I can get you some.
There you
Winchester
go.
still makes some.
Yeah, they do. They really do. So anyway, but anyway, because of that, they said because of these two rules that were back then, that now you're not allowed to go in any public, private. If it's open to the public, bars, you can't do that unless they specifically post something or tell you verbally, yeah, come on in, you have a firearm, you're welcome. If it's concealed, they won't know that. But if you enter and they don't have that, now you have just broken the law. And this, I mean, this is huge.
It's just
Huge,
crazy.
huge, huge.
It's just crazy. Guys, let's jump to the bottom of the hour break. When we come back on the other side, we're going to talk to our Attorney General, Dave Yost, and get to our friend Vikek. He's coming on here up shortly, too. We're on Target, broadcasting live from Scheider Trucking out here in a beautiful field in Plain City. We're on Target. We'll be back right after the break.
All right.
Still need to be closer.
What are we saying, Ed?
All we're seeing is the good man's waist over here. So if you can zoom it out.
All right. How do I?
Not still showing Frank LaRose's waist.
It's a nice waist to
It's
look
a-
at.
It is
a nice
good
waist.
waistline. It's a good waistline.
I've been working on it.
Back too a little bit.
Hey, when you guys talk to Dave, we're working a lot on some election integrity stuff as well. He's helping me get the federal government to do their jobs and helping me go after election law violators. So good stuff there. We got a law and order AG.
Cool. Are you hanging with this?
I can. Yeah,
Totally up to you. I mean, you got anything place to go?
I'll do it.
All right.
I don't think I got
I think
the-
you're stuck, Eric.
I don't
Maybe you
think
need
I
to
got the right
reboot it.
stuff.
I can't do it on the fly.
I can tell you what.
It's on the same frame it was
I know I'm
before.
legal.
Yeah, see if it comes back. I can't.
Oh man, this is made in China on it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna cover that part up.
Sorry.
Do we really have 4 minutes? Oh, still 5 minutes? Okay, gotcha.
So it was probably made by one of the
Okay.
50,000 illegal
Did it do
Chinese
anything yet?
immigrants that crossed.
No, it's still showing his waist. It's stuck on that frame. I mean, he's moving in it, but
Yeah.
Can you-
Everything's hot, so I think that's playing into it.
Including my waist.
yes.
Hey, I didn't say it. Hey.
You have a pocket knife?
I do.
They were saying your pocket knife is very shiny.
Rick Hinderer,
Nice.
made in Worcester, Ohio.
There you go. Got to be from the U.S., let alone from Ohio.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow, it's only.
I'm gonna buy you guys a pop-up tent for the next time you guys.
I'm going to melt over here.
Generally, when we're doing an audit from our show, we don't. We're either under an awning on the car trip show trailer, but it's also 8 in the morning,
Right.
so
Uh-huh.
the sun's a lot further down. We do use a tent occasionally if we're doing raw or mini and Michaela on Sundays.
Hey, Frank, if Dave doesn't come on if he's not there right when we come on, I might
can
kick
talk
to
about
you and say, hey, what are you doing with the attorney? You know,
Yep.
what kind of things?
Absolutely.
Kind of
There's a lot.
Yep.
I keep my lawyer busy.
And JC, you're good to talk about the amicus a little bit?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Dave will get off like at 40-ish, 45-ish, 43, something like that.
You want to have an alarm set for that?
JC does.
Yeah, I got alarm for.
Usually
1
we get a
minute till
break in there, so
45, yeah.
it's an easy thing with this. How's the sound? I mean, everything sound good?
What could sound good?
Okay. You still good, Edward?
I'm able to chat, but again, it seems to be just stuck at a close range, and for some reason won't back up.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the camera head itself or
The
It might be the Wi-Fi.
yeah, and the iPad is now overheated, so I can't play with it. So hopefully it records locally too. I
yeah.
can
I'm
upload
hoping
it.
everybody can hear us. I also made a comment on Facebook that
Hey, Ed, you see Mr. Bachman out there?
I did. He made it here, and he got here on time.
There you go.
30 seconds. Hey, Ella, is Dave on? Okay.
Okay, so you've got about 13 minutes until 12:30.
Okay, we don't have a break there, I don't think.
No.
Oh, okay, so 12. Gotcha. Yep, perfect. We're not used to this help. What are you doing Saturday mornings around noon?
You're gonna get Ella mad.
From LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is OnTarget.
Welcome back to On Target. Guys, we are broadcasting live, not from the studios at 999 Bethel Road like we've done. JC, we've done it every week for the past 10 years.
10
We're
years.
actually on location with the help of our good friend Larry and Ella. The people back at WTVN helped us get this set up today. We're at the Patriot Rally that's coming up. What a list of people coming up to speak, including our very own Secretary of State Frank LaRose. You're speaking,
Here
right?
with
It's
us.
a beautiful day in September. We're 52 days from Election Day, and it's important that Ohio Patriots know exactly what's at stake in this election. That's what we're going to talk about this afternoon.
Your vote counts.
It will in Ohio,
Register.
and it counts once. Now, listen, and speaking of that, I know you're having the Attorney General on later, and thank God the people of Ohio have had the wisdom to choose a law and order Attorney General, somebody that actually enforces the law, that makes sure that bad guys face justice. As the Ohio Secretary of State, he's our lawyer. He's the one that helps us. In fact, we defended the voter ID law in Ohio successfully. We fight off Hillary Clinton's lawyer, this guy named Mark Elias, that's constantly trying to sue us to change election laws. It's Dave Yost and my team that work together to do that. And we're also working on trying to get the federal government to provide us access to these databases to check who's a citizen and who's not. And again, also making sure that election crimes get actually prosecuted, because when a law is not enforced, it ain't a law. It's a suggestion. And we're making sure that election laws actually get enforced.
And we're so lucky. We're so fortunate to have yourself and Dave and the rest of the leaders at the state level. I mean, it's just not always like that. You look at some of these other states, and it is not like that. And I feel very comfortable with Ohio, but I just, as soon as you step outside, I don't have that same comfort level when you look at Pennsylvania and some of these other states.
Yeah, we're working to try to get other states to follow Ohio's example. Again, when I testified in Congress this week, that's what it was about. I chair the Republican Secretary of State Committee, so for all the Republican Secretaries of State nationally, and we're helping them really follow Ohio's example when it comes to checking IDs, taking non-citizens off, auditing the elections. We always use a paper trail in Ohio. Every ballot is on paper. Of course, that result on election night is counted electronically, so you can know it before you go to bed. But then we go back a couple weeks later, we count the paper and compare them. And again, Ohioans know that it's an honest process, and it's easy. The left says we're suppressing the vote. Utter nonsense. It's easier in Ohio to vote than probably most other states in the country, but we also make it honest.
Yeah. Do you have anything to do with the cookies they hand out on voting day? Because that is really, I don't know, but I mean,
That's one of the great things about election day. It is a community gathering. Some churches host, and they'll pass out cookies. And by the way, we're looking for more poll workers. These are the 30,000 people that it takes to run election day. Half Democrats, half Republicans, all patriots. It's a long day. You get paid for it, but that's not the real reason to do it. If you want to help us make sure we have an honest election, instead of just sitting at home and screaming at your television about what other states are doing wrong, why don't you sign up at voteohio.gov to be part of the team that runs Election Day? I think you'll feel good about it, and you'll become really an election expert. You'll understand how this stuff really works, and you'll know why I can say without hesitation that we keep the election honest in Ohio.
And you know what? I think this election cycle, I felt like there's been more people involved. I look around and there's all these community Republican things that are popping up in the communities. Lisa here, who helped put this on today, has a couple of those that I think you've spoken at. I mean, people go around and speak at those. I feel like there's a little bit more people getting involved this year, and that's all it is. I mean, it's amazing how little of the population actually votes.
No, a few years ago, I don't think Ohioans know we had a Secretary of State. They thought I was in charge of negotiating peace with Michigan or something. But, of course, that's not what the Ohio Constitution charges me with. It is, however, keeping our elections honest and making it easy for people to start a business. That's the other side of this office. But more people are interested. I was with the head of election integrity for RNC yesterday. They are deploying hundreds of professionals around the country. They have observers, which is sort of the best thing to do is to be an election official. But if you can't do that, don't have the time, then maybe sign up to be an election observer. They're making sure in every state, and they don't have to worry too much about Ohio, that's their words, not mine. They're making sure in every state that we keep it honest. And when, unfortunately, when people don't do their jobs, they're filing lawsuits against them. And that's exactly what they should do.
Right, and I think this is just a rumor, and I hate to say rumors and stuff, but it was after your visit on Target that people really realized what the Secretary of State was. I mean, it was maybe it was coincidence. I don't know.
I think that's it.
Yes, there you go. As we're waiting for the Attorney General Dave Yost to call in, JC, we talked about it before, or actually offline, about the amicus that he just filed. You know, it's easy for a politician to say, "I support the Second Amendment," but to show it, like Dave does, is really incredible. And recently, he submitted an amicus to the Supreme Court. And tell us a little bit about that, JC.
And at the forefront, as a matter of fact, his is the only name on the amicus as it was filed. There are other names of the 24 other states. So he represents 25 states, Ohio and 24 other states that have filed an amici to the Supreme Court. One of the reasons is the Supreme Court made some really outstanding decisions in the Heller case, and then more recently in the Brewer case. And when you have the Supreme Court saying this is what we need to take a look at. You want to go back to the fundamentals. Why do we have this Second Amendment? What laws applied to the people then? Because it's the right to keep and bear arms that has continued since 1789 when the Bill of Rights were put into effect. So a lot of these states, these liberal states, and California, there's a whole list of them, usually on the East Coast and the West Coast, but now Colorado has joined the group too, that have said, well, yeah, that was then, this is now, and we don't kind of like that, so let's go ahead and do our own thing, and heck with the Supreme Court.
They think we can all be safer if we disarm the law-abiding people. What a foolish idea!
Yeah, there you go. So let the criminals only have guns. I mean, but that is what they want to do. The focus seems to be on high-capacity magazines and these what's so-called assault rifles. If I could go back in time, I would take Armament Rifles Corporation and say, don't use AR as your initials.
Of course, that means Armalite rifle, not assault rifle.
Yeah, the Armalite rifles. But AR, so the news media says that must stand for this.
Here's my theory. Whatever you're pointing at me, it's an assault rifle.
It's an assault, right.
Doesn't matter if it's a 22 or whatever you got.
Yeah, they're not labeled like that. And when you use that terminology, that's what militaries use. They're full automatic, capable of full automatic fire, and they're just a lot different. They may look alike. Your Toyota may look like similar to the ones that they race in, around Talladega or something, but it's not the same.
It's about aesthetics. Yeah. It's about black plastic pieces that look imposing, and so all of a sudden they want to call it an assault rifle.
Exactly, and they come up, it's got a pistol grip. So if it's got a pistol grip on it, it must be it's a progression on what makes a rifle more comfortable to hold and more accurate, so you don't have stray things going out there. Anyway, the AR, just by the way, from a historical standpoint, real quickly, it first went on sale to the American public as a sporting rifle before the U.S. military bought any. So a foreign country ordered 500. It was an African country. I think it was Mogadishu, or Mozambique. Anyway, but and guess where? In New York City, in like July 4th, I think of '64, it went on sale. And no one had a problem with it. So think about that. That's, that is a great number of years. 60 years ago, this has been out there. But now we want to disarm these folks. We want to take this away from them. And overall, the FBI, this is the FBI stats. This is the current administration's FBI stats say that the deaths by rifle, the homicides by all rifles, not ARs, all rifles, whether it's a pump, a single shot, a 22, doesn't matter what the caliber, all rifles are less than 4% of the homicides, between 3 and 4%. So they take this, and then they want to go, no, we want to take this away from you. And what Dave's brief is like, look, we have to look at historically. It is an arm. It is one that is used for self-defense, because there are millions and millions of these firearms out there that they would qualify. Yet they're in the hands of law-abiding citizens. So, as Frank just said, so they, whatever their scheme is, want to take these out of the hand of law-abiding citizens and let the criminals continue to have them. It just amazes me. So when the Bruin decision came out and the Heller decision, they said, no, we got to take a look at what's common. What is commonly used in the defense? They're not unusual when there's millions and millions out there. And these are used in the common defense. Semi-automatic pistols have been out since the 1800s. Even militaries adopted them in the 1890s. They're out there also, and semi-automatic rifles are too. They just want to focus on, as Frank said, hey, it's black, it looks menacing, so yeah, we must not let people have these. But
the founders got it right. Our rights don't come from government, they come from God. Government is there to keep, to be limited, to provide certain things, but government doesn't give us rights, God does, and we have a right to self-defense. And by the way, we also have a right to throw off a government if it becomes tyrannical, and that's part of what the Second Amendment is all about.
Exactly. That's what the Revolution was all about.
Amen.
A tyrannical government. And but they don't want people to have that. They're concerned. You can't really control people unless you take away their weapons. I mean, look across the rest of the world, and you'll see what happens.
Look at Venezuela.
It's just, yeah.
It's so much.
Here's an election. The guy lost. I think the other guy got twice as many votes.
It's never the good guys disarming people.
I win.
It's never the good guys who are disarming people. Let's just look back through history, folks.
Yeah,
right.
This is what the case is. So you really, and then you have someone who comes up there now as a presidential, oh, I have a gun, and oh, I am not going to do this. Well, she's flipped on about 90% of everything she said, and you just have to go out and look at it coming right out of her mouth when she says one thing, and even her I guess one of the guidance on how she's presenting her campaign has said, well, yeah, I mean, no, she hasn't really changed on her principles. It's just that, well, now she has to say what people kind of want to hear so she can get elected. And so she's a liar. She's a friggin' liar. And when she gets in, it's going to be, hey, you can forget about that. I changed my mind, just like I did before. Again. But this is really serious.
So, JC, we should probably tell everyone where we're at today. We're not in the comfy studios of LAPD. We're actually live, guys. We're actually live out here at the Ohio Freedom Rally in Plain City. If you have some time, it starts at 2 o'clock. Our very own Secretary of State, Frank LaRose, is going to be up there speaking.
Come out and join us.
Amongst other people. Geez, we have a whole lineup. I mean, Vikek is there. Dave Yost, and we just got a message. He got tied up on a prior interview with Fox News. I give him a break on that, though. So if you
OnTarget comes first.
That's what I would think, but I get this Springfield stuff is important. But we got, I mean, the lineup as I go down through here. I mean, Lieutenant Governor is going to be on there. Bernie Moreno is going to be up there. All kinds of people coming up. And it starts at 2. What time do you go on, sir? Do you remember?
I go on right after the Attorney General. And listen, Election Day is 52 days away. Think about this. In 1 week, we start sending out overseas and military ballots. Election season is here. And, of course, you probably know who you're voting for president, I hope. You probably know that you're voting for, I hope, Bernie Moreno for U.S. Senate. But come out and meet some of these local candidates. It's important to be an informed voter. Those decisions are going to be made very soon. Election Day is right around the corner.
That's right. And when did the polls actually open?
So the early voting starts on October 8th. And you got, by the way, no excuse for not voting. You got 4 weeks of early voting, evening hours, weekend hours. Just come in, show your ID, cast your ballot. You walk out with an I voted sticker. Absentee voting, you can request that absentee ballot right now. You probably got a form in the mail from us, just the blank absentee request form. You mail that in, you'll get your absentee ballot mailed to you. And then, of course, Election Day comes up on the second Tuesday after the first Monday in November 5th. And we're going to give you those results on Election night.
Wow. Great. JC, as we wait for our good friend Vikek to give us a call and stuff, any other news stories you got there in your hopper?
I was really, I have to apologize to Dave Yost for me. I'm going to let him take the lead on that and then follow up with some of the things I read. But it really is worth it. You get out there online and read it. It was a 15-page, and it's just really well done on leading this support of our Second Amendment. And right now, he said like a third of America, about 120 million Americans are now deprived because of these high-capacity magazines. Sorry, you can't own them. The state of Illinois just said, nope, you can't own any ARs or anything. I mean, they put a ban on the rifle and on high-capacity magazines. There are hundreds of millions of these magazines. Almost every gun today is shipped with a magazine with more than 10 rounds. So they would invalidate hundreds and hundreds of millions of firearms, and if without the magazines, you have to destroy what you have or try to modify them. But the law says it's for weapons, not just weapons, for self-defense, for the Second Amendment rights. Doesn't have to be a gun. Actually, it covers knives, clubs, everything else. It's just not firearms that they seem to be focused on. But they're just saying, nope, that's all right. We'll make up our own rules, and even if it's common, we don't like it. So there you go. And Dave Yost is really leading the charge on this. So please, if you can look it up, it's Ocean State Tactical versus the state of Rhode Island, and so he petitioned for a writ of certiorari, and this is this amicus brief that he has submitted. Look at the detail, because it really tells you what he's made out of and what he's representing. Really representing.
Frank, what is the benefit of early voting? I mean, why? Yeah. I mean, I'm always a traditionalist. I want to show up on election day and vote. I mean, is there any advantage other than making sure that you get your vote in?
A couple things. First of all, it's the law of the land in Ohio, so we want to make sure to take advantage of it. The RNC is promoting it as what they call bank your vote. The fact is, things happen on election day. People get a flat tire, the kid gets sick, something happens, and you get distracted. So we don't want to leave any votes on the table. It's like if you were a football coach. You have 3 ways you can score on a football field. You can run, you can pass, or you can kick. Well, in Ohio, as Republicans, we can score votes with early voting, absentee voting, or election day voting. We want people to take advantage of all 3. And here's the advantage of voting absentee. This is the pro tip. When you vote absentee from your own kitchen table, you're allowed to cheat on the test. Most of us can admit we've gotten into the voting booth, and you get down to the bottom where the judges are and where the local candidates are, and you're thinking, gosh, which one of these is it that I want to, and you may end up guessing. We don't want you to do that. When you vote from your own kitchen table, flip open your laptop, call a friend, take 20 minutes, the time it would take you to organize your sock drawer, and be a really informed voter, and then you can track your ballot at voteohio.gov/track so you know that it actually got to the Board of Elections. It's a great way to do it.
Yeah, that's good. Guys, we know today was going to be tough on the scheduling because everyone is coming in to speak here in an hour. So one of the things that we wanted to touch base with, if we get a chance to talk to Vikek, is that this decline in law and order that we've seen since 2020. I mean, it is a steep decline. And the thing, when you watch the debate that we just had this week, where they tried to correct President Trump when he said, "Hey, wait a second, there's no decline in crime." It's infuriating because us in the business, in the field, know that. I mean, for example, the FBI Uniform Crime Report, and I don't know if you're privy to this, Frank, but those data points have been flawed now for several years. They've been flawed because they don't mandate, or these cities have not filed their information. So can you imagine if you look at the United States and you think of all the crime out there, but then you pull out Chicago and you pull out San Francisco and you pull out all these big cities? Well, of course it looks like crime went down. You just pulled out all the liberal thinking cities that make it go outrageous.
Well, and you've got some cases where you've got these liberal prosecutors backed by George Soros that don't actually want to go after bad guys. This is cultural, and this is something Vikek talks about. Respect for law and order is cultural, and it's our responsibility as parents. I even have this with my kids. One of my daughters said something about the cops. I said, no, it's not the cops. Those are law enforcement officers. You will speak of them with respect, and that's what parents need to do.
And speaking of Vikek, I think we have him on the line. Sir, how are you doing today? Oh, we have him there, El? We're great. How are you? Yep. There's a little bit of a delay. Okay. So, can you hear us there, Vikek?
Well, I tell you what.
Try calling back in.
He's a man with a lot to say, and we need to hear it. He's making Ohio proud.
Okay, we're going to see him. Actually, he is, I think, en route to the rally because he is the opening speaker.
Yeah.
And so maybe can catch up to him. Okay. Okay, we're going to try to reconnect him there. But, JC, as we were saying, I mean, the law and order component of this is just infuriating. I mean, when you take away the lack of prosecutions that are going on out there right now in many of these cities, I see it firsthand. I mean, we talked about it today. I mean, the lack of people being arrested because of these philosophies.
And there are real consequences. You talked at the opening of the show about this horrific situation where lives are being lost because we've got law enforcement hands tied and not able to keep these thugs in prison.
Right. Vivek, are you there? Yeah, I mean, we see it here. And I'm in law enforcement. I see it firsthand on the streets. It's incredible where we've come in since 2020. I mean, we're so fragile. I never would have imagined that. And I mean, we need to get back to law and order. And I think it starts at the voting booth.
To stand for what's right rather than some watered-down version of it, which has frankly been a bipartisan problem. It's not just a problem with the Democrats, but we do have a historic opportunity this November to get the job done. And, you know, I'm doing it for my kids. I'm a father of two sons. I just took my older one to his T-ball game here in Upper Arlington, and I'm worried that they're not going to be able to grow up in the country that we know. And I think this is our last chance to get it right. You know, if my son's in high school before we get this right, I don't think we have a country left. And I don't mean that hyperbolically. I mean, we might have a land that we call the United States of America, but it won't be the country that we know. But that being said, it doesn't have to stay that way. We don't have to be this nation in decline. I think we still can be a nation on our way up, but it's up to us to make it so. Our founding fathers, they made a sacrifice 250 years ago, and I hope everybody listening to this is willing to make a small sacrifice of their time, their voice, their courage, their effort in the 50 days we have between now and the election. And, you know, that's why I'm traveling the country, although today is a day where we're doing it right here at home in Ohio.
Talking about making sure laws are enforced, as the Secretary of State, we're making sure that when people break election law, they get prosecuted for it. We're working with the Attorney General. We're working with county prosecutors. Thankfully, it's rare. We've found about 600 instances with 8 million registered voters, but we're going to make sure that people face those consequences when non-citizens attempt to register, when people in multiple states attempt to vote. And that's exactly part of making sure that the law is respected, because when a law is not enforced, it's a suggestion. We're going to make sure that it's the law in Ohio.
Yeah, look, we can't set bad precedents, and the best you can do is set an example right at home. The truth of the matter is we can also make it a lot easier in the long run. One of the things I think we need in this country is single-day voting on Election Day as a national holiday with paper ballots, government-issued ID to match the voter file, And you know what? I would say English is the sole language that appears on a ballot. I don't think that's too much to ask. I know that President Trump's committed to that, and I'm committed to that. It was one of the core things I advanced during my own presidential campaign. But we got to win to be able to do it. And so I think 50-point plus one is not going to cut it this time. It's got to be a decisive margin. And you know what? A landslide minus some shenanigans is still going to be a victory. That's what we got to shoot for. Are we playing on an even playing field? We're not right now. But I'm not here to sit here and complain about that. We're not going to be victims. We're going to be victorious. We got 50 days or so to do it. And I'm asking you all to do your part. I promise you I'm going to do mine. Donald Trump's going to do his. And, you know, even later today, we're rallying the troops right here at home in Ohio, but we want to go further than that across the country. And, you know, I'm optimistic about what's ahead early next year.
Vikek, thank you so much for jumping on. I know you are crazy busy. We're going to see you out here shortly. We're at Snyder Transport, and we will see you. Thank you so much for jumping on. Look forward to seeing you back at the store again here soon, but keep spreading the good word out there. I'll also like to thank, of course, our good friend Frank LaRose, Secretary of State. Dave Yost didn't get a chance to make it, but doing some great work back there. Guys, come check it out. The speakers start at 2 o'clock. Thank you for everyone who got this running today. Larry, Ella, the whole crew back at WTVN. We'll be back next week. And guys, as always, get out and vote. Let's be careful out there.
Hey, Eric, are you going to stay on YouTube?
Probably not because of the connections.
Hey, it's Matt McCoy from my friends at Germain Honda of Dublin. I stopped by recently. So helpful, so friendly, with service that's fast, fun, and easy. Whether you're looking to buy or lease, they have a
that was
huge
fun.
selection for you. More than 300 new and 300 used vehicles in stock.
All right, good
Maybe
job,
you need
guys.
your car.
Thanks, everyone.
Service is available. They can even get you a loaner car if the service takes longer than expected. They truly
for letting me.
are
I
all
didn't
about
think I
you,
was
the
gonna be on for
customer.
the
Ella, you wanna do
Germain Honda
commercials?
of Dublin at Sawmill and 270, or check them out